Let's talk about StorEdge. So here we are. StorEdge is our 7.6 or 3.8 kilowatt inverter, and it's got this large DC disconnect in it. We call that the storage connection unit. And inside here, we have an automatic transfer switch that automatically transfers power to the backup load center. Some ancillary devices is going to be the SolarEdge electricity meter. And what the electricity meter does is it measures consumption. So it measures import and export to and from the grid. And so that way, we can tell the battery to discharge or to charge, depending on what you're trying to do. So this device, the SolarEdge electricity meter, is fantastic way of getting homeowners engaged in what the amount of energy they're using. They can see it on their SolarEdge dashboard. And I would even say on projects that you're installing just solar only and no batteries, it's a great device to have, because we've all had those conversations where a homeowner is like, oh man, my bill went up $100 and what happened? And you need to come out here and look at the system and fix it. And then you can look at the computer and say, oh, well, you started using more energy. I sized the system based on the amount of energy you're using before you got solar. What changed? And then you can have that conversation. Oh, the homeowner got a new hot tub, and of course they're using more energy. The auto transformer. So this is only required when you're using backup. So if you're selling batteries for time of use arbitrage or net zero export and you're not planning on doing backup, then you don't need the Autoformer. But as we previously discussed, basically everybody wants the ability to back something up, so you need the Autoformer. And basically all this device is when the inverter is connected to the grid, we're a single phase 240 volt inverter. And when we're connected to the grid, we use the grid's auto transformers to split our phase to a 120 240. Now in a grid outage, we take the grid away. And if we want to back up some 120 volt loads, we need to split that phase. So that's what the Autoformer does. It splits the phase, and then also it provides phase balancing. And then lastly, the battery. So right now we're partnered with LG, and we have the LG Chem Resu 10H. We'll talk more about that battery, but basically it's about a 10 kilowatt hour battery. It's great for daily cycling because it's a lithium ion technology, and it's great for backup capabilities. So this is what the system kind of looks like. You can have up to 2 batteries per inverter. So LG does specify a primary and secondary battery. You don't need a quote-unquote combiner box. You do need a junction box because you're paralleling those batteries. But because we discharge one battery at a time, you don't need to upsize your wire. Okay. So the batteries are DC coupled to the solar array. And I'll talk more about DC coupling in a moment. Here's our backup load center. Here's our main grid connection. Here's our Autoformer. So one thing you should take away from here is this is a lot of conduits coming in and out of the inverter. So we'd have one from the solar array. We'd have one from the battery. So that's 2 conduits. One to the backup load. That's 3. One to the grid. That's 4. One to the Autoformer. That's 5. And then probably the communication wires in the same conduit. So we don't have to worry about any other communication wiring. So that's 5 conduits. Preparation is key if you're going to be successful for your first installation. And I would say use a gutter box on maybe your first install, just so you have the space and the ability to move things around and make sure it's clean and tidy.
For additional information and access to more in-depth tutorials, go to SolarEdge.com, select Login and e-Learning to get access to the library of SolarEdge learning materials.